How did you discover your passion for the arts?
Um, I grew up in a family where where like my mom and my dad, like their first date, one of their first dates, my dad drove into New York City to take my mom to like a Broadway show. So that was like one of their first dates. So I grew up in a family like that where my parents had a philosophy that they just wanted me to be around the arts when I was a little kid. So even if I fell asleep during like an opera or ballet or a musical, they were okay with that because I was there. You know what I mean? Um, and I thought that was a really healthy perspective. And it's almost like they were just planting a seed as I was younger. So I just gravitated as I got older to the arts. I was in school plays and stuff, and then it's kind of like it's sort of a cliche story, but you hear it often enough. I had a major crush on this girl in the grade above me, and the only way I was ever going to hang out with her is if I did the school play, because she was a huge theater nerd. And that's how I actually got really hooked on acting, and that was musical theater. And I must have been 10 or 11 then.
Well, when you look at your career as a whole, who or what's had the biggest influence, either personally or professionally?
Um, I've had a few, it's different kinds of people have shown up for me at different points. My first great mentor was a guy named Burgess Jenkins, who lives in North Carolina, and he's had a wonderful acting career, and he was my acting coach, like my first solid acting coach, and he's been a wonderful mentor in my life. Vincent D'Onofrio, when I did that film called The Judge, the Robert Downey Jr. film, he taught me so much about being a professional, about how to be and how to be the best actor that I could be. I mean, that guy is a remarkable actor. In terms of recently in my life, in the past few years, it's been a photographer who's based in LA, but he's known as a photographer, but he's really more of like a creative consultant and producer. His name's Collin. He's had a major influence on viewing my career more in a holistic and more of an entrepreneurial way. He's been a big inspiration and guiding light throughout my whole, you know, expression through music too. So I'd say that those three people.
You've had a lot of success already in your young career. When you look back, is there a particular moment that kind of stands out to you?
Um, Particular moment. Nah, man, it's just the ability to keep going. That's all it is. It's just like consistency over time, and making sure that it's not like as glamorous as like one moment kind of changed my whole career. I think it's more just like I was born in a really good family, which I'm grateful for. I had constant encouragement, um, and it was all about the consistency of just like loving what I did, you know that kept me moving forward. Because acting and music they're not like two of the most ideal professions to go into in terms of like ease. I don't think I think I think that no one could ever accuse me of taking the easy route in life. I think everything I've done is definitely um, since I was a little kid, I didn't really, I kind of just did my thing. Um, but yeah, I'd say like there's no moment that stands out really. It's just kind of like what I think about looking back at my career is the consistency and the commitment, even when no one really cared, you know, like when other people had assumed that I just like wasn't doing anything. I was working my ass off even harder than I was when I was successful. So I think that's what stands out for me is the persistence and the commitment to my craft and the belief in myself, which I think I mean, if you have that and it's like the music stuff, like all the music stuff is me,
Yeah.
that's just me, like accumulation of all of my production experience as an actor for the past 11, 12 years. The fact I've been writing since I was like, I've been like consistently writing since I was 16 or 17, whether it was poetry or screenplays or stories. And so songwriting was a natural extension of that. But it's kind of like, that's what I look back on in my career, which I'm very proud of.
Yeah, speaking of music, you're getting ready to release your debut single. Can you tell us about 21st Century Love and the inspiration behind the song?
Yeah, 21st Century Love. It's like it's a pop rock song. If you dig like Shawn Mendes or Maroon Five or John Mayer, you're probably gonna dig the song. Um, and it was produced with a really cool young producer in Los Angeles named Jacob McCaslin. Essentially, I was on a dating app. It was late at night, and I matched with this girl who was just like she was just gorgeous, like gorgeous redhead. And there was the feelings that I had, and when we were interacting was like, you know, I think we've all projected feelings onto people before, whether it was we're sitting in a movie theater and being like, oh wow, Jennifer Lawrence is gorgeous, or like, what was the Ryan Gosling like, hey girl stuff? It was Ryan Gosling, and it was just like all the meme was is hey girl, and then it would say like really woke shit after that. So it'd be like, hey girl, like just so you know, like I'm on your side against the patriarchy, stuff like that. But it'd be Ryan Gosling smoldering anyway. But it's like that's like an example of projecting. So, but it was different than that. It wasn't that I was projecting all these feelings onto her. It was more just like this moment was wrought with such profound feelings that I could truly just like that. It was very palpable. And I just started writing. And one of the first things that came to me was this line, "I fell in love with you on a screen." The original song was pretty much just a verse, verse, verse structure. I didn't really know how to write a pop song when I started. I'd only written probably two or three before this, to be honest. Um, and then I ended up meeting with Jacob through my voice teacher. And Jacob, I just played him a few lines of the song, and he was just like, "Yes." He's like, "This one," and he jumps up out of his chair. He runs over to the piano and he grabs his guitar. So he's got like simultaneously he's playing the piano and strumming. And before I know it, we had the song. Um, it all happened kind of crazy actually. It was really quick.
Like you were saying earlier, you've been writing original material for the past few years. How did you decide on this being your debut single?
Um, it wasn't really a huge conversation, to be honest. It was more just like I felt like the song, you know, everything you do has to feel authentic. Everything you do has to mean something to you. And like it was a good song. And I feel like my job as an artist, whether I'm acting or singing or producing or directing, my job is to put the piece of art first. Um, and so if there's a really good piece of art in front of me, like if there's a great opportunity to say something at a really high level, I'm not going to get in the way of that. So Jacob was really excited about the track, and I didn't really question it. I was more just like, "You dig this?" And I, look him in the eye, and I'm like, "Let's have a real conversation. Do you actually like this song?" He's like, "Yeah, I really like this song." And we just worked on it. Probably took like 2-3 months to finish the track, just due to our own schedules. And by the end of it, we had something that we were really proud of. The track itself is so colorful. It's so lush. It's so like
Yeah.
dynamic. It's creative. It's not just a typical pop song in that regard. It's got like the harmonies are magnificent, like in the bridge. And this is just me talking. Like it's not even like I'm not thinking about like it's my song. I'm just observing the song. Um, and he did such a remarkable job with it, and that was the beginning of uh of hopefully will be a very long collaboration between us, because I love working with him. We've done a few songs since then, and I'm really excited about them.
Yeah. Speaking of schedules, in addition to music, you're also an actor, a filmmaker. Has it ever been a challenge to kind of manage the different facets of your career?
Definitely, definitely. Um, yeah, I mean, for me, it's like artistically, it's the same expression, right? So as an artist, I'm doing the exact same thing as a musician as I am doing as an actor. I'm taking a piece of material, and I'm infusing my own emotion into it to tell the story. It's essentially the process of singing. When you're in a recording studio, the only thing that's on my mind is how do I tell the story with my voice? With acting, it's how do I tell my story with a voice, and also with, you know, my behavior, right? So, but with songs, you only hear it, obviously. Um, you know what I mean, though. So it's like it's kind of the same expression. Now, as more of a, I guess if you'd say like the kind of person who like runs my business, which is my, whatever you want to say, my artistic endeavors. Yeah, I have to learn how to take the hats on and off. There's a line where, my acting audience has been extremely supportive thus far of my music, but they're kind of, music and acting and directing and producing, they all seem like they're kind of the same thing, but they're really not. Like people perceive them all as different things, even though for you they feel completely organically connected. So I feel like that's been the struggle recently. But when I say struggle, it's been more of just something that's been on my mind.
Yeah.
It hasn't been like some tangible, tug. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. We've talked to a couple of actor musicians in the past, and they've often said that there's a different level of vulnerability that you need to tap into when you're releasing your own music. Do you feel similarly? And how are you feeling a week ahead of the release?
Yeah. I mean, you know what it is, man? It's like, so the music video is, it's just a total expression of, anyone who knows me would just look at that and just be like, oh, that's Ian. Like he's wanted to be on Broadway since he was a little kid. He's a tap dancer, he sings and he acts. Like, so there's a level of vulnerability, but also just more of a level of empowerment where like me and the director, Collin Stark, we set out to make a one take music video. And at the end of the day, we made what we wanted to make. So it's almost like I was able to create exactly what I wanted to see. As an actor, I don't have that power. Um, Other people write the story, and I just get to fulfill their vision for the story, which is like, it's awesome in itself. They're two completely different things, um, and both are wonderfully fulfilling. But it's not necessarily a level of vulnerability. It's more just like, also in a weird way, it's like I love the song, but at the same time, it's just like, you know, it's also new for me. Um, it's all new, and I'm just having fun with the experience. And I'm getting to express myself as a musician now, which is making me a better actor. I'm learning how to do all sorts of things right now that I'm really excited about. So I wouldn't say it's like, it's obviously vulnerable. You want people to like it, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. Maybe it sounds kind of cocky, but like, I know the song is good. So if people don't like it, it just means it's not their cup of tea. Because I wouldn't put something out into the world that's not good. So it's like, that's where I'm at with it, where I'm like, I don't really, that's not really a worry of mine right now. It's more a worry of handling the lead up to the release in a respectful and productive and efficient way. That's more my concern right now, because I've never done it before, so I have to learn as I go.
You're planning on dropping a couple more singles and then an EP in 2021. If you had to pick one song of all these songs that best encompasses who you are as an artist, what would it be and why?
That song has not come out yet. That'll be our second song. We just shot the music video for it. I'm really excited about this one. Uh, it's very different than 21st Century Love. But it's like you talk about feeling vulnerable about a track. That's one that I never even wanted to, like, I didn't, when the track was finished, I remember sitting at my desk and I was just like, fuck. I was like, we have to put this song out now. And it was like, when I was writing it, I didn't even think about other people listening to it in a weird way. I was just trying to express like what I was trying to get off my chest. And at the end, I was like, fuck, man, I feel really naked right now. And so there's music like that, that's where you feel vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's where you're really giving someone a piece of your, whatever you want to call it, your psyche. You're opening up the door to your life a little bit. That's vulnerable. But 21st Century Love is more about an experience that I had. So there's there's different levels to it. Both I love equally for different reasons.
Yeah. And then as you embark on this new chapter in your career, what's been the biggest lesson you've learned thus far as a musician?
There's a couple that come to mind. I think the one that might be the most, I I think the one that might be the most applicable to other people is, I think we live in a culture where we're taught that we have to like feel good to do a good job. It's not true at all. You know, you can feel totally insecure and uncomfortable and do a great job. You know, it goes back to what I was saying earlier about like what I'm most proud of over my career is the consistency. Like at times when I was appearing to be like very successful, I was, you know, I was feeling insecure and doubtful of things, but I just kept going. So it's also like, you know, but that's what I've learned as a musician. When you're in the recording studio, I don't know how often I feel good. You know, I think you're kind of in there and you're like, you know, I'm doing my absolute best while I'm in there. And I'm thinking of all the different, I'm not getting too excited about anything I do. I'm constantly thinking about how can I be better? Are we telling the story correctly? Because again, put the art first. So it's got nothing to do with me. That's why you don't have to feel good to do it. Right.
Yeah,
Uh, I feel like that's probably the best lesson I've learned through music.
love that. And then we just like to end all of our interviews with a pop culture speed round. Is there a band or artist that fans would be surprised to learn is on your playlist?
Oh man. I mean, I really dig Ariana Grande. I don't know. I mean, that might surprise people, I guess, but she's awesome.
That's a good one. What about the first album you ever bought?
Oh, I didn't buy it. My brother gave it to me. It was American Idiot by Green Day.
What about first concert you ever attended?
First concert. The first concert I ever went to, I think, was an American Idol like tour. I think my mom took me to an American Idol tour in like Greensboro, North Carolina when I was a little kid. And it was like I think it was like Fantasia Barrino and like all, you know, it was awesome.
Uh, what about an album that changed your life and why?
Ooh, album that changed my life and why? I mean, you know, not necessarily an album. It's more been like individual songs. But I'd have to say, like, if we're talking about an album, it'd probably be "Rockin' the Suburbs" by Ben Folds. Because that Ben Folds grew up in my hometown. You know, it's pretty much all I listened to when I was a little kid. And he tells such beautiful stories in a really accessible way, and the melodies are absolutely magnificent. And he's like a classical pianist and like an alternative pop expression. Um, so Ben Folds lately, it's been like Jason Isbell in the 400 unit. Uh, if We Were Vampires is like, I can't stop listening to that song.
What about when you're on the road? What's a must-have?
I'm on the road. Well, I've never toured before, but if I'm like traveling for you know, going on location or something, must have. I mean, it's typically my guitar. Yeah, it's typically a guitar.